What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Covers Live. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again with another live stream where we get together as a community a little bit late today and talk about whatever topic I've come up with for the week, and this week is no exception. So I apologize for the delay here at the beginning. It's not a good idea to update all the software on your computer a few days or a couple days before you have to do a presentation or a live stream, but that's what happened today. So everything was kind of in the wrong place and not quite working entirely correctly. So sorry for the delay there, but I think we're going to be doing okay now. I see that the live chat is working. Hello to Enrico, Slalom Skater, E9, Ashraz. Ashraz says, never patch a streaming system. Yeah, well, sometimes you have to. Hello to Tenomag, nice to see you. Hello to Reinsen, I'm guessing that's Chris. Hello to Thomas. And to Gunn. I'm looking at the... I should probably be looking over at the IRC chat because it's a little bit easier to follow. Hey, Dave. And Kikenzoot. All right. Hopefully I won't do anything to kill the stream this time. I streamed Flux Harmonic last weekend, and the stream dropped twice due to totally stupid things that were my fault. One was I didn't plug in the charger in the right port, so the laptop died, and then later I bumped the USB connector, and it totally dropped. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've already started looking for components to build a actual machine dedicated to streaming, so I'm hoping that's gonna work out. If that happens, we gotta wait and see. Zach, I think Zach Oglesby, Z Oglesby says no zoom in on the red eye. Yeah, you want to see? I don't know if you can see if it will show it. Let me see if I can get myself on the camera here. Can you see that? Somehow I managed to burst a blood vessel in my eye this week. That was a lot of fun. Gun says wrong port equals drained battery. Yeah, that's what happened, right? Screenshot that bloody eye. So everybody, if you use free software or specifically Guix, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get so frustrated that you're going to burst blood vessels in your eye. I'm just kidding. I wasn't doing anything related to Guix whenever I had that problem. In fact, I can't remember what I was doing. Anyway. Jeff says neat colored names. Yeah, that was not too hard to do. Hello to Anton and Voices of Cats. All right. So let's see. Ashra says, now that we will have a close-up of your iris, we'll continue with phase 2 of our plans. Yeah, that's not going to work. Daniel says, hi, geeks. Yes, hello. Super long lag between sending the message and showing it up on the stream. Well, probably because I had to tone it down. Like I had a too frequent of a polling interval on the input. Maybe your stream's lagging a little bit, Jeff. You might have to refresh it. But I had to slow down the polling interval because the last stream, as you might remember, it was completely laggy, and anytime I scrolled anything on my screen, it totally hung everything up. So I was trying to tweak some settings in like the program I'm using to bridge the IRC chat to the stream chat. And also I finished like cleaning up my OBS environment so that OBS itself won't be so laggy. So I think that helps some. We'll see how it goes. Gun says, last week it appeared before I finished typing. About 60 seconds. Yeah, okay. It's probably because I did. So like I had a polling interval on the IRC connections of about 200 milliseconds, and I bumped it to 500. And the JavaScript side that's polling the endpoint locally to put the chat on the screen is polling it every second. So if you've got 500 millisecond delay, half a second delay, getting the messages from IRC, and then possibly 1 second of a turnaround time on the website, then it might be a second to a second and a half. Hello to Purple G, nice to see you. And to End Paren. All right. It could be that YouTube is behind, who knows? Who knows? All right. So updates for the week. I'm still working on the Matrix IRC bridge issue. This week I spent a little bit of time trying to host a Matrix home server written in Rust called Conduit. And I did make some progress with that. I actually had one up and running and was able to connect to it. But as I started going through the repository for the project and seeing some of the bugs that have been filed and seeing the fact that it hasn't really been getting updated that frequently recently, it made me wonder if I should depend on that, because I don't want to have to make yet another change. Like if we have to move to another Matrix server just to get IRC bridging back, then I don't want to have to change again if we have to like use a different Matrix server implementation that doesn't have a compatibility with the database, meaning we have to recreate the channels, everybody has to rejoin everything. I don't know. It just seems like a huge headache. So I'm of two minds at the moment. One is abandon Matrix entirely and just focus only on IRC because it's the only thing that's reliable. Now, obviously, we lose some of the benefits of nicer, more modern clients, but I've been looking into enough of what's going on around in the ecosystem for IRC that I think that I can probably put something together that will be good enough. So don't be surprised if I just say Matrix is done pretty soon. But I'm also still looking into the possibility of running Dendrite, which is the Go-based implementation of the Matrix home server by the actual Matrix Foundation, or now the Element Corporation. Who's Element? I don't know if they're a corporation or not, but basically Element is the sort of the main developer now of these home servers, and we could try it out. It also is missing functionality compared to Synapse, which is like the main Python-based home server that is slow because, obvious reasons. But anyway, it's been giving me a headache. It's stressing me out a lot. I'm really close to just saying IRC only. And maybe if anybody wants to use a bridge from something like, let's say, XMPP or whatever, they could do that, because it is possible to do that. But Matrix bridging, yeah, Dave says, I don't have a great outlook on Matrix. Yeah, this whole LibreChat bridge shutdown on matrix.org really just screwed everything. So I don't know, IRC seems like it might be the place to be. It's definitely the easiest thing to connect to from pretty much any type of device you could imagine. And it's pretty fundamental. So I don't know. I think it might be better. Yes. Dave says IRC, clunky as heck, but unkillable. Can people hear the music or my voice level okay? Because I feel like things are really quiet. Let's see. Daniel says, what about a Telegram channel? Yeah, I don't want to... I use Telegram, but I actually don't want to put an official chat on any other proprietary service. I already did Discord. I'm not doing another proprietary service. Yeah, voice is good. Can't really hear music. That's weird. Let me check. Let me boost... Oh, you know what? I bet money the volume's too low in Pulse Audio. Who knows which one it is? I probably shouldn't mess with these right now. Okay. Voice level is fine. Cool, cool. All right, the music's not that important anyway. So, anyway, for now, I'm thinking, let me keep working on it, but I'm thinking that we may have to go IRC only. But I will be providing a bouncer, an IRC bouncer, and what else? Possibly the Lounge instance. I refactored my OBS config. Yes, I did that, basically. Logs. Oh, yeah. Voice of Cat says logs. So another thought I had is if we actually did switch to IRC only, I'm considering the possibility of simplifying the channel structure so that we only have the main System Crafters channel where people would come to ask for questions and discuss on topic things for the channel, like Guix, Emacs, Linux programs, etc. And then have a System Crafters Lounge channel, which is sort of what the main System Crafters channel is now, just sort of random off-topic chat. And if we do that, then I would probably turn logging on for the main System Crafters channel so people could search them if they wanted to. And then I'd probably get rid of the System Crafters Geeks and System Crafters Emacs channels because they have basically no traffic. So that if we did switch to IRC only, I would probably change things that way. I'll probably still have the separate System Crafters Live channel for the live streams so that we don't gunk up all the other channels with stuff. But we'll see. Okay. That's enough on that topic. So if you have any thoughts or interest in the sort of Matrix versus IRC issue, definitely let me know in the IRC, because I'm not really watching the Matrix these days because of all these problems. So yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, today what I want to do is talk about how we might be able to host a Git Forge on the web with Guix. So one thing I've actually been thinking about a lot for the past few months is how I might host my own Git repositories, like not depending on obviously any of the major code forges like GitHub, GitLab, whatever, or even Codeberg. Codeberg's great. I've been using it for a while, but you know, they've made pretty good software with Forgejo, so why can't I just like host it myself if I wanted to? So I've been thinking about it for my own repositories potentially, and maybe even to like host a community GitForge website. Maybe not so likely, but it's possible because I kind of like the idea of it. So today what we're going to try to do is set up Forgejo, which is a quite nice Git Forge. And if you don't know what a Git Forge is, it's basically a website where people can collaborate on code projects using Git repositories and then like having issues and pull requests and all the sort of stuff that you normally see on a site like GitHub. So Forgejo is a fork of Git, which has been around for a while. Git, well, let me just look that one up so that you know what I'm saying. Git is a software forge, but you know it's been around for a while. But Forgejo forked off from that recently, within the last year or so, just because of some change of hands in the ownership of like the trademarks and whatever for Git to a private company, and some weird sort of crypto related things happening. So Forgejo got branched off to have a more free Libre type situation, and to continue the development in a way that serves Codeberg and also the wider federated Git Forge environment. So Forgejo is a part of a collective of software teams that are working on something called Forge Fed, which is basically a federation protocol for software forges. So if you imagine, instead of having one monolithic code forge like Codeberg, where everybody has their accounts, they collaborate on things together there, maybe what you have instead is many different individual code forges that maybe run a different software, and they all can connect to each other, and people can collaborate across the different forges using their identity from their own code forge. So one effect of this could be is that individuals could run their own personal code forge and collaborate with other people on their own personal instance, but also collaborate on other instances using the same identity. And I think is the idea they're going to be, yeah, it's an extension to ActivityPub. So in theory, you could follow the activity of a repository or a user using Mastodon or any other Fediverse social media client. So there's some interesting implications of this to make code forges even more decentralized and federated. So it's interesting to consider what it means for a person who wants to host their own now that this is a possibility. It's not like you're just sort of keeping yourself isolated in your own little silo. You may actually be able to participate in the wider realm of ForgeFed enabled Git forges. Excuse me. I've also been fighting a cold of some sort this week, so we might have some issues there. So the reason why I say Git tea, because people in the chat are saying that, look at the icon. It's a teacup with a little paper string thing coming off of it. Clearly it's tea, so it's Git tea. Yeah. So that's why I say Git tea. Dave seems to be in agreement. All right, so that's that. That's the idea, is that we want to try to set up Forgejo, and we're going to try to take a little shortcut with this to put it into Guix today. We're not going to try to package the whole thing, because Forgejo is built with Go, and it's quite a large project. There's a lot of components to it, and packaging a Go project is kind of difficult because Go is a kind of highly fragmented ecosystem, kind of like Node.js, in the sense there's a lot of smaller packages that do very specific things. So if you want to package a Go application, you got to do a lot of work to basically create Guix packages for maybe, let's say, 10 to 50, maybe more other dependency packages that the project you want to package depends on. So instead of doing that, what we're going to do is download Forgejo, the pre-made binary distribution that comes from Forgejo, and package that instead, and then try to run it. Now, I saw Enrico in the chat before the stream say, what was it? Binary only does not feel right on Guix. Yes, if you think about Guix from the perspective of the mission of Guix to be a reproducible and bootstrappable GNU distribution, shipping a binary version of a piece of software doesn't really feel right. But think about it from a different perspective. We're thinking of Guix as a deployment tool. At least I am, because there's certain things I want to host, and I want to use Guix to host it, but I also don't want to go through the trouble of trying to package up everything, at least not initially. I want to get it running first, and then if long-term it seems like it's going to be viable to use Guix to deploy this piece of software, I would rather do the work later to do all the packaging for everything. And maybe other people would be interested in collaborating on, like, let's say packaging all of ForgeFed or any other piece of software that we use. But at least in the short term, I'm personally happy. I have no stain on my conscience about trying to deploy a binary program using Guix, because Guix is a deployment tool also. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to download the binary distribution of Forgejo, and we're going to create a Guix package for it, which is actually not too hard to do. We're going to run it locally because there's a little bit of a setup process that you can do to configure some things initially to generate a configuration file, because it is possible to edit the config file. Like, there's one main INI file that you can use to configure Forgejo, but I don't want to have to go through and figure out all the little things we're going to configure. So we're just going to generate a config file and then use that as part of our Guix deployment. And then we're going to use a local Guix container configuration to host Forgejo behind Nginx, because we're going to use Nginx as a reverse proxy where we set up our SSL certificates, because you want to be able to host this on an HTTPS endpoint. We'll also use a certbot service to generate those service certificates automatically. And then we will try to actually host that on a Debian VM in the cloud. So today we will do what I could not do last week because I wasn't prepared. Today I'm prepared. So host the container in a cloud VM with a domain name and certificate and SSL certificate. All right. We're going to try to get that done. Edie says, what happened to his eye? I was initiated into a secret order, and there were some consequences. I'm just kidding. And then if we make enough progress, which we may not have as much time now as I thought we would, I was going to look into setting up a program called Laminar as a CI, or continuous integration service, against Forgejo. Now, if you've looked into Laminar at all, and you know how it's configured, you might think, I don't see how that's going to work. And yeah, I don't really either, but I want to try it and see if maybe we can think about how it might wire it up. But Laminar is really interesting because it's very minimalistic and just basically uses bash scripts to run CI jobs, but you can basically run whatever you want with it. So I think there might be a way to wire things up for that. Instead of going and using something more heavyweight, like let's say Woodpecker or Forgejo Actions, which apparently is possible to set up yourself. I just haven't really gone through the trouble yet. Okay, let me go back to the chat a little bit and see what I missed, because there's a few things I saw fly by while I was talking. Dave said, I'm interested in this. Personal Git hosting has been on my mind a lot lately. Just started working with Laminar for CI, not fully working yet, but seems promising. Yes, actually, I went and scoped out your configuration today, because before, before I scheduled the stream, I was looking into maybe trying to do cgit first and see if we can do like a more minimal git force with just like a plain cgit and Gitolite, I think. What was it called? Anyway, there's like some SSL or SSH Git endpoint thing you can set up. But then I went looking around. I knew that Dave uses cgit, so I looked for Dave's server config to see how he set things up, and it's a lot more complicated than I thought. So I was like, okay, let's scratch that. Let's just look at Forgejo instead, because I've seen how it looks and it's not too bad. So we'll take a look at that. But that is to say that I did see your Laminar config, and it has a little bit more than I thought too. But All right, we'll see. All right. Get.com. Let's see. Gunn says, maybe there's a Forge hub that you can push your local Forge to. Maybe. Neil says, hi, thanks for your content. Guix will change everything. I have no doubt. Guix is good stuff. I like Guix a lot. I really want to focus on making more Guile and Guix content. I think if I were to pivot the channel at all in any way, it would be just like sort of forget about Emacs. I mean, obviously do some Emacs stuff here and there just because I like Emacs, but I think that Guix needs a lot more focus, a lot more detailed tutorials to help people start moving with it, because the more I use Guix, the more I see how useful it is. And like for pretty much anything I want to do with a computer, it has some value. So I want to share what I'm learning. Let's see. Honestly, Dave says, honestly, more people need to know that you can make all sorts of compromises with Guix to get stuff done in the real world. Yes, that's important. Guix is not just some idealistic free software platform. It is that in some ways, but it also is a very practical platform. And if you know what you're doing and you understand the model of Guix and how things work, you can do whatever you want with it. And you should, because that's what it's there for. It's a tool, you know? It's not supposed to be just a philosophical tool. This is a practical tool too. Tetnamox says, nice topic. This should also show me how maybe to move away from ASDF to Guix manage all sorts of CLI that I use. ASDF, RTX are also mostly just download binaries, like for Common Lisp or just like in general. Fade says, the general refusal within the Guix official community to even speak about anything but strictly correct free software is a barrier. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's because Guix is sort of bound by the Free Software Distribution Guidelines, FSDG, and it basically says in those guidelines that you can't help people with proprietary usage of the software. Like the official communication channels and documentation can't do that. Otherwise, you lose that certification. But there's also people who are maintainers of the Guix project who care a lot about free software. So there's a little bit of both. I can see the value of it, but I think that doesn't really matter, because it's up to communities like ours and like the Where Is Everyone community and some of the other offshoots, non-Guix, to fill in the gaps to make it so that people can learn how to use Guix in other contexts and not just a free software context. So it's fine. You know, I think making it a little bit more decentralized is fine, so long as people know how to find the information. Voices of Cat says cgit. Cgit is a simple web front end for Git repositories. It's kind of cool. It's a little bit customizable, but it doesn't allow you to do things like pull requests. It's basically just a viewer for Git repo information. Glenna says, and there's the rub, knowing what you're doing. Yes, but that's part of the reason we're here, so that we can all share some information and learn how to do stuff. Dave says, Laminar plus Guix provides good security if everything runs within a container via Guix build or Guix shell container. Yeah. Benoit says, the Where Is Everyone toy search engine is great. Yeah, the thing is, it's on a domain with Asian characters as the TLD, and it's very difficult to remember what the domain is. Ashra says, Forgejo reminds me, didn't Fundrack use Gitty? Yes. Fundrack's around. I see him on Fediverse. Gunn says, does Forgejo work with Magit? I don't know. You mean Magit Forge? It might, actually. It might. Erlen says, my issue with Guix at the moment is both of my terminal emulators have not yet packaged that I found. I've become too bad at scheme to write it myself. Well, you could also just pick a different terminal emulator. You know, when I switched to Guix, I had to switch a few different pieces of software that I used, but I'm happier that I did it. Also, if you focus more on using Emacs for most things, then you don't have that problem either. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. So first of all, what you might not know is that Forgejo actually ships a statically linked binary. If you don't know what statically linked means, it means that all of the dependencies needed for Forgejo are compiled into a single file. So it's not even like there's no HTML files or any other extra asset files that Forgejo needs that you need to unpack on your machine. You just run a single executable and the whole environment starts up. I actually did this today and I was quite surprised that it was so straightforward. So what we can do, Dave says, a micro forge written completely in Guile sure would be nice. Well, there is one, but you can't really get to it right now. If you use Guix, you can look for Gittile. If Guix will boot up. Yes, Dave knows what I'm talking about. Gittile, which is a Guile-based Git forge. The website has been down for a while because I think there's a bug in Gittile. So it only does repo viewing. Well, I think if the community worked on, actually adding things to it, it could get further. And I would like to do that. There's so many things I would like to do. I don't have enough time. If I could clone myself a few different times, maybe I could start to scratch the surface of some of the things I want to get done. Well, I don't know if it's trying to be a whole forge, but if it was up to me, I would make it do more for sure. All right. So we have a link to the binary for Forgejo right here. And we can just really quickly download it and test it. Stefan says, just installed Emacs, beginner tips. Go check out my Absolute Beginner's Guide to Emacs. There's a video on this channel. All right, so wget. I probably don't want to put that here though. Let's put that, let's see, make dir. Come on now. All right. Oh, and one other thing I need to do that I forgot about. It's going to be really annoying if I don't do it now. Let me do something. Since I'm going to try to put this on an actual VM in the cloud, I'm using Volta for this, by the way. I haven't installed Guix yet. So we're going to do that. This is a Debian image. If I just say apt install Guix, it will install Guix. Dave says, Julian, the Gittile author, sent me patches for Guile syntax highlight a while back. That's how I learned about it. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Oh, apt update. Is that right? I think I needed to do that last time. All right, here we go. Let's let that do its job for a second. And go back over to our E shell. And that should be downloaded now. So if I just chmod x this Forgejo binary, I should be able to run it Forgejo. So it just starts running immediately. I didn't have to do anything. So apparently it already has everything it needs sort of built in. What I'm going to do is go to localhost 3000. And there it is. It's already running. And it gives me this initial configuration screen. And I can pick a few things that I would like for it to do. Let's see. First of all, it's asking about database. I'm just going to use a SQLite 3 database because if you aren't going to have a ton of people hitting your site, this is probably good enough, and it doesn't require you to host a database also. You could do that with Guix, obviously. You could run PostgreSQL, or however you pronounce that one. But for now, we're just going to have it do a SQLite database. I'm not going to bother changing these paths yet. I can change them in the configuration file afterwards. Crafter tools. Let's just say that. Let's see, what else? Repository root path, we'll leave these things alone. Run as username. Yeah, this also will need to change, but we can let it go for now. SSH settings, port's fine because we're going to have a reverse proxy in the end. Log path, email settings, we're not going to set that up yet because we need to have an email or SMTP server to use. This is for sending emails to people for notifications, etc., or for even email confirmation on registration. Let's see. Benoit says, why did devs choose names that are hard to pronounce? I don't like the name Forgejo either. It's very strange, but I think it's actually a word. where some of the creators are from, I think. I think it actually means Forge. There's a few other settings that are interesting. You could use federated avatars or Gravatar, which some people have Gravatar set up. It's basically a service where you can set up a profile picture that can be used on various different websites. You can turn off self-registration in case you don't want people to create new accounts on your Forgejo instance. So you could check that if you wanted to. Allow registration only through external services. If you are doing federation with other sites like GitLab, GitHub, or other known sites, I think that, excuse me for the coughing. I think that if you could say they can only register using those services and not create an account on your site, which I don't know, maybe that's fine. They can also use OpenID. You can have a CAPTCHA for registration. I don't know if there's anything extra you have to do for that though, so I'll leave it off for now. Requires sign in to view pages. If you want your Forge to be private, only for registered users, you could do that. Hide email addresses by default. Maybe you'd want to turn that on just to help people's privacy, I guess. Allow creations of organizations by default. You can turn that on or off. Enable time tracking by default. I don't really know why time tracking is useful, but I guess some people have done that. Hidden email domain. This is the domain that gets shown for email addresses if you want to hide their domains. And then administrator account settings. Excuse me. Creating an administrator account is optional. The first registered user will automatically become an administrator. So let me do that first, because I don't want anybody to jump the gun on me when this thing is public. Actually, it doesn't matter now, does it? Doesn't matter at all. All right. So that's good. I'm going to hit install Forgejo. And what it does is create a configuration file basically in all the initial databases. Turn the time tracking off or I quit, says Trev. Yeah, that's great. And now this is running on my local machine. As you can see, this is only on localhost. Need an account, register now. I can create an account for myself. David at system.net. Register account. Now I have an account. I can go and create a new repository. Hello world. And I can create that repository. And then if I want, I could actually go push to this, this Git. So already this thing is working. I didn't do anything other than just run through the short little setup steps there. I think it's pretty awesome. It doesn't really require you to do a whole lot. So you just have a binary and it just runs. So let's also go here and Guix pull, because I want to make sure that Guix is up to date. Oh, did I start the system control enable? Let me type the right word here. Guix daemon. System control, start Guix daemon. It may already be started. Okay, now we'll pull. But for Debian, a server running Debian, that's all you have to do to get Guix up and running is just install Guix, enable the Guix daemon so that it always gets started when the system starts, and then start it, and then you run Guix pull or do whatever you want. Excuse me. And you're good to go. Yele says, looks pretty decent too. Yeah, Forgejo is nice. It's very nice. All right, let me scroll up a little bit. Dave says, just FYI, calling back to a previous stream, I've made progress towards making Guix Linodes without needing to start Debian or something first. Hopefully you can figure out an upstreamable solution. Yeah, I want to do that I actually started doing that for Vultr because it's possible to upload an ISO. So if you can upload a Guix ISO, then you can automate through the API the creation and booting of a new VM using that ISO. And then when it starts up, you can have it use Guile to SSH to the machine and run commands. It's basically how the DigitalOcean deployment works. If you look in the Guix code base, there's DigitalOcean deployment. But that one is to take an existing machine and kind of convert it into a Guix system. But I think you could do a fully automated Guix install. You would have to know how to partition the drive correctly, but I think that's not going to be too hard. But I'm certainly happy to hear about a Linode solution. I don't know about Linode right now though, because they got bought by Akamai, so who knows what they're going to be doing. Inference says Forgejo. Is that right? All right. Someone says, if you wonder how he installs and configures and other system infects, just repeat this after me. It's just a live stream. I really should just relax. Should I? Let's see. Waiting for the next fork, Benoit says. Dave says, Linode images expect raw disk images, but not a full disk with partitions that Guix System Image makes. Yeah. Benoit says, they call the process infect. Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. Gun says it's Esperanto. Okay, that makes sense. Forgejo. Dishmed. I don't know what that is. Gun just wants me to stumble on speaking more German words. The Forge, thank you. Okay, anyway, let's go back to Forgejo. Forgeju. Let's see. What was I going to do next? So, yes, Guix package. Let's do that. So, I've got some stuff already. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce these words correctly, so I won't be baited into that. All right, so org. Let me just like steal some stuff I have already for this to get a initial config going. Did some mining off stream. Did I? Are you talking about my eye? All right, here we go. Whoops, did I screw something up? Okay. Let's go to the downloads. How about this? Projects, code, crafter, tools. Just to see. Whoops, that needs to be a directory. Config.scm. Okay, so this is some stuff that I was working on for the previous work of trying to mess with Conduit. I'm just going to kind of change all this around a little bit and use it for Forgejo instead. Forgejo. We're also going to use the binary build system that comes from the non-Guix repo. Binary build system is basically a simplified build system for Guix, which allows you to download a program that's distributed as a binary and then relink the binary to fix any references to dependencies that it needs that it can't find because Guix organizes its system a little bit differently. So this may not be needed at all for Forgejo, which would be cool. Let's see, Forgejo. There we go. Let's copy this link again. We will see how far we need to go with that. Since we have a version number, we could actually put the version up here. Let's see if we can get this package running. Forgejo. Yes, Forgejo. So basically, it will download the file from this path, and then it will rename it to whatever I say the file name is here. Now this SHA is going to be wrong, but we'll fix it in a minute. So I need to fix the strings here so that we can actually put this together. So I'll need to do a string append on that whole thing. And here as well, I can put version here, I think. All right. That's a little bit ugly, but we'll leave it for now. Also, I probably need to wrap this with let. Okay. The license, I think, is MIT. So that would be expat, I believe. Homepage, forgejo.org. Now, the patch elf plan, we may not need to do anything there. The install plan, we will want to do something there, I think. Forgejo. So install plan is basically the mappings of files to output paths. And in this case, we want to put Forgejo under the bin path in the final built project folder. Validate run path, maybe we can leave that off. I want to see if it does anything. Also here, we need a special phase at the end to make the executable. So Forgejo. So what this does is modify the standard phases, and then after it unpacks the bare binary, basically, it will run chmod on that to change the mode of the file to be executable. I think, or maybe it makes it so that it's user executable. Yeah. Okay. So that should be enough. Let me just change this whole synopsis description stuff. I put a period here. That's cool. That's not right. Go away, copilot mode. I need to take this thing off. All right, so a git forge. I don't really care. Okay, a git forge. I can see that my server is chugging away authenticating the Guix channel because it has Guix 1.4 and lots has happened since then. So there's a lot of commits to authenticate. So it's taking its time. Okay, so all this configuration stuff, we're just gonna go down and just comment all this out. What I wanna do right now is try to build this package and see if it works. All right. Let's make another little split here, and I'm gonna run eShell and Guix build f config.scm. Now I need to, doesn't need to be public, but I do need to put Forgejo right here at the end, just for now, because I need to return the package I want it to build when I run Guix build. So let's see what it does. All right, so it's downloading the file, which is good. At least I got that part right. Okay, so the build failed, and we're gonna find out why by looking at the build log. All right, so download succeeded. So what's your problem? Oh, that's the derivation. No, what? Couldn't be built. Oh, haha, that's why, because I need to change the hash. Actual hash is this other value. So if I go up here back to the SHA, then I can just replace, because I know where the file came from, so it's okay. Hopefully it doesn't have to re-download it though. Okay, Ashra says Forgejo is a self-hosted lightweight software forge. How about we go with that? Thank you, Ashra. Let's see. Cool. It seems to have built. Let me check out the store item. I see bin and Forgejo. And if I run it, it executes. So that's basically packaging a binary executable where it is basically fully self-contained and you don't have to do anything special. So now we have a package for the binary Forgejo. I can get rid of this other stuff here. This is probably the easiest binary to package with the binary build system that ever existed. So kudos to the Forgejo folks. So what did Ashra say? A self-hosted, lightweight software forge. Yes. And then, whoops. Forgejo is a, all right. Let me see what I'm missing in the chat here. Good old 9Geeks Dave says, yes, indeed. Lord Fear says, hey, I'm hooked on your channel. Keep it up. I'm wondering how did your experience with Stump WM come to? Was thinking about giving it a try. if you want to try Stump WM, you should. I think Stump WM is very cool. For some reason, despite the fact that it's well made and it uses Common Lisp, it's written in Common Lisp, all the configurations in Common Lisp, it didn't really click with me, the way that sort of the window management works. And I'm guessing that it's possible for one to change all of that, but I just didn't really feel like going through the trouble to do it. So eventually I switched back to Erbstluft window manager, if I'm still saying that correctly, maybe not. And was there for a while until I tried Sway. And actually I went back to EXWM for a little while, and that was okay. And then I moved to Sway and Wayland, and I've been there ever since. So I love the idea of Stump. I've used Stump a few times, but every time I just never really like felt like it was the right thing. But that's just me. That's why this is System Crafters. It's all about what you want to do. Yeah, like I said, what are the specs of the VM that you will provision, have provision? It's like the most basic one possible on Vultr. Was it 1 vCPU and 1 gig of RAM, 25 gigabyte NVMe? I do not recommend this if you plan to share this with other people, because that's not really powered enough. I think probably 2 CPUs and maybe 2 gigs of RAM and a lot more storage would be more effective. 100, 200 gigabytes storage. But usually you would do that with like block storage add-ons to a VM and not like the root storage. All right. Ashra says, sometimes I miss Gitolite, small package, easy installation, nothing required. Well, yes, it is possible to set that up, but I didn't have time to learn that today. Ashra says, we will teach you one day. On the first System Crafters convention, there will be a how to pronounce non-English package names. I need how to pronounce non-English anything. I'm trying my best here. Okay, so we've got our basic package, and you can't really see it very well, but this is really all it takes. In fact, I bet money if I take this input out for GCC, or the glibc, or is that libgcc? Anyway, I bet it still works. In fact, let's verify that. Let's go back and, whoa, where is, oh, it's in eShell somewhere. Another eShell. There it is. All right. I bet it works. Yep, still good. And it's probably got a new folder now, and I'll run it from there. Whoa, wrong. Then Forgejo. Still works. Okay. So yeah, super simple. So now what we need is a basic service in Guix that can launch Forgejo and run it as a Shepherd service, because Shepherd is basically the service management system for Guix, but it's generally a GNU project that allows you to write service definitions in Scheme. And in this case, a service really is just a program that needs to be started and managed. So like if it crashes, it needs to be restarted, or there's maybe various policies around how it gets executed. So we can go down to some of this code I have here and just sort of repurpose it. So we'll look at the Forgejo service type. It's much better that I'm cheating here and not trying to write all this myself, because it would take way longer. But I will say I wrote a lot of this code myself earlier this week, so I still wrote it. It just didn't happen right now. Okay. This may not be needed. We can kind of leave that one out for now, but we might need the activation. Yeah, we might need the activation service. So what this is a Guix service definition. You define just whatever symbol name you want for it, and then you say you're making a service type, and then the list of service extensions. Service extensions are basically different parts of a service. Extensions is not really the best name for this. It's more like components, I would say. But one of the extensions is the Shepherd service for Forgejo. The others is this activation service, which means when this service is added to a system configuration, there needs to be some extra step that gets taken to set it up correctly. So I think what this is doing is creating a data folder for the program where things get stored and setting the right permissions on it. And also that's for the, let's see, should I do this as Git? Maybe I should do that. Let's do that. Because I think that it matters in the end. So let's do this. And serve is probably not the best folder for this. You know, it really is up to you how you want to put your folder structure on the machine that you're deploying. Let me undo this one too. So this accounts thing as well, let's talk about that too. It's Forgejo. I'm gonna name this Git. And why do I name it Git? Well, if you notice, in many cases for SSH links, go to codeberg.org or go to GitHub on any repository. If you look at the clone URL, usually it says git@codeberg.org. You'll see that on GitHub, you'll probably see it on GitLab, etc. What this actually means is I'm going to SSH into codeberg.org using the username git, right? So what this means is the service for the thing that's receiving the git files is running under the user git. So what I need is a user named git in the system so that you get this URL git@codeberg.org. Take a look at my local deployment here. It says Davywill at localhost because my current user that I'm running the code as is Davywill. So that matters. So we're going to create a new user called git, group git, I guess. Forgejo user. All right. No home directory, no password. This is not a real user, it's a system user. Okay, let's drop that down too. So we're creating a group called git and a user called git, right? Everything's still good with the stream. I'm not paying as much attention. All right. Let me make sure I type that correctly too. And let's check on our Guix install. All right, cool. We're good here. Okay, so now we have our activation and our accounts. So we've got a Forgejo accounts and activation. So the accounts part here, this extension, is to create an account for this service if you want to. You don't have to do it, but in this case, it is useful. And in this activation, we're going to find the Git user that's been created and change the ownership of the path where we're going to store all the Forgejo files to be owned by that user, okay? So we've got those things set up now. The Shepherd service config, we do need to set this up. All right, let's just change conduit to Forgejo. And all, no, wait a second. Or, yeah. Okay, let's go back and I'll tell you what I just did. So for setting up this Shepherd service, first we need a configuration type, which we'll take a look at in a minute. We also need to find the binary path to the Forgejo package. This is going to be executed as a G expression, I believe. And we're basically finding the path to the Forgejo package and appending bin/Forgejo to it. So this finds the location in the store for the current build, effectively. Yes, it's because of find and replace. Git forge. So the configuration also is, we're gonna have a function to generate a text file config from the original configuration. We'll look at that in a minute. And then we create our Shepherd service. The requirement being, we need to make sure that networking and user processes are, these Shepherd services are already started, because you definitely need networking. And we're provisioning a service called Forgejo. The fork exec constructor is just to execute whatever binary we want. In this case, it's the Forgejo bin. And then for environment variables, I don't think we need that. That was something that was for conduit. But we might need it. We'll see. If I'm going to pass a configuration file to it, it might need to come as an environment variable. We'll see. So that is a SharePoint service, and we'll maybe walk back through it one more time after we get everything done. Now, configuration. I want to define a simple configuration. So let's change conduit to Forgejo again. I must have done a downcasing on all this stuff at some point because these weren't all downcased previously. And we're going to have this Forgejo configuration to file. Now, I'm going to just hard code a lot of stuff here, okay? So whatever file we got from Forgejo, I'm just going to start by hard coding it because at first I don't really know what we need to configure Forgejo correctly. Why did it do that? It's deleting that other quotation mark, and I don't want it to. Hey, would you stop? All right, let's just do it this way. Boom. That. Give me a break. Okay. All right, we'll put contents here. Anyway, that's a function that we can use to take one of these configuration objects. So this is a configuration for the Forgejo service. A lot of times it will accept a replacement for the Forgejo package in case you want to make any tweaks to the package using like package transforms, etc. And then any other parameters you have. Now we'll change this in a minute. Server name is probably something we want to have, but maybe there's some other things we can configure. We may not go too far into that. So since we already have a configuration file on this machine from downloads, Forgejo, custom conf app.ini, you can see we have this file here. I can basically just drop that in. And some of these things obviously can be customized. We'll just tweak a lot of stuff right now. So I think I had /srv/Forgejo is my path where I store things. So what I'll do is change these to oops, let's do that one too. Okay. So now I've got them all under the same root path /serve/Forgejo/whatever. And that should be okay. There's some tokens here that probably should not be baked into your configuration. And I'm not exactly sure how you would want to generate these. Probably we need to figure out, like if you want to package this in a good way and set up a service for it, you want to generate those instead of depending on Forgejo to generate them. Maybe there's another way to do it. I don't know. Ashra says run user must be adjusted right. Yes, ultimately you would want that user to be part of the configuration. In fact, how about we just do that? So user string get the username of, well, the name of the user under which Forgejo will be executed. I don't know. And in here, I can add this. Configuration, user, config. So what happens when you create one of these configurations is it basically creates a record type in Scheme. So the fields are accessible using Forgejo-configuration- whatever the name of the field is. So in this case, I'm using Forgejo-configuration-user to get the user here and to put it into the configuration file. Now, this is a very primitive way to generate configuration. There's more of a framework in Guix for how you're supposed to generate a configuration based on a config. And I'm not following that right now because I'm trying to save time. But if you were to write a really well-designed Guix service for a program, you would want to follow the actual configuration guide. What is it called? Guix manual devel. I should get this from info, I know, but let me see if I can find it here. Configuration. Complex configurations. I think this is new. I don't think I saw it before. But it basically tells you how to use define configuration to define a configuration. And I think at some point it tells you about how to deal with serialization. Yeah, this whole section right here. So this is something I don't think was there before, and I had to figure it out myself. And now they have a documentation, which is good. Zogleby says the file name needs to be changed. You probably still need to adjust the Shepherd service to run as that user, right? Did I not do that? Shepherd. Where have I missed a quotation mark? Because something's not right here. Unless it's just Emacs highlighting. Oh, there we are. Okay, better. So let's see, Shepherd GNU. Yes. How about we do it this way? Info GM Shepherd. Okay. Services. Defining services. User. User F make fork exec constructor. Okay. So in make fork exec constructor, I could say user get. Thank you for pointing that out. And also, that's true. We would want to do this too. Forgejo configuration user config instead of just saying git. So that would be another way to ensure that. Is there also a group? Yeah, group. There's something I can call for that, right? It may not work. Password GID. Is that actually in the Guile library? Or is that something that's in Guix? Maybe I should have one for that as well. All right, so let's have group as well. Hey, what do I do? Group. Hello. No typey good today. Password : star are from Guile, the POSIX support lib. Cool. All right. So we got that in now. I think we're getting pretty close. I could probably run this. These other things that need to be parameterized, we'll deal with that another time. Is there not something for the... Okay, domain. We need to fix those. So let's insert some stuff in here. Is that work, Ashraz? Cool. That's excellent. So let's do that. I want to just quickly fix this because Ashraz told me how to do it. I think this list is parameters, so I think I can just put in config and then the Forgejo config, but we also need to use the G expression syntax for that. So there we go. Probably don't need that. We'll see if it works. Cool, maybe that works. We'll find out. Okay, so all the local hosts here need to be changed to the domain. And same here. I'll fix that in a second. Why did I do that? Oh, I did that on purpose. Okay. Get rid of that. And that. Okay. Are we good here? Okay. So also port we'd want to set. Let's not waste time on that though, because I want to at least make some progress. This is good. Oh, okay. That's the host for the quote unquote host for SQLite 3, whatever. Ashra says, didn't pick it up, but does your Forgejo package already depend on Git? According to the installation guide, Git and Git LFS are supposed to be, yes, Git LFS. Cool. Thanks, Ashraz. That would be a reason to have some inputs. Git LFS. I think I can do this now, right? Package modules. Let's see. Version control. Okay, so git package modules version control. Some of these things could probably get out of here, like messaging, etc. Okay. Let me check out the code here. Yeah, I think we can just do plain list of inputs. Boom. Oh, even this? Okay, cool. Done with Nixshell-P Forgejo? Yes, because they already have a package for it. That's okay. All right, so let's see. We've got inputs, git LFS. Should that be propagated inputs? It might need to be propagated inputs. Let's see, D, Guix, index, propagated inputs. Sometimes packages have propagated inputs. There are dependencies that automatically get installed. Let me turn on keycast, because I know I'm flipping around a lot here. There are dependencies that automatically get installed along with the required package. Yeah, I think they need to be in the path, because otherwise Forgejo may not be able to use them. So let's change that to propagated inputs. I'm guessing that's necessary. Okay. We should try this and see if it works. We can try it in a local container. Let's see. Should I do this in vterm? Maybe let me do another vterm window. Okay, so Guix shell. Beatings will continue until all corners are reinstated. No, we're cutting corners, dude. Within a 1.5 hour window, this is what we're going to get done. We're going to see what we can do. So not Guix shell, Guix system container. Oh, actually, let me do this. No, let me not do that. Let me do this first. Sudo. My prompt is so screwed up here. Let me go to scratch buffer. Sudo Guix fundamental mode. Thank you. Guix system container networking config.scm. Don't type in my password. Keycast is active. Thank you, Ashraz. We'll see if I do that. Hold up. Is it just network? Gelp. Jeez. Okay. Network. There it is. -N. Capital N. So if I want to not have to type out the whole word, I can just do that. Use modules. Here we go. Conduit. Whoopsie. Let's go over here. Conduit configuration. Yes. Forgejo configuration. Hey. Okay. Does not return an operating system. Cool. That makes sense because I didn't do that. Now we have the Forgejo service type. Now we still need to set up our container. So let's do this now. Let's change this to be Forgejo. Forge. I'm going to start typing it wrong now because I'm being an idiot. Do I have server name? I have user and group. I'm going to leave those alone. I called it domain. So let's call that domain. So, okay. That should be enough on that. I've got a little bit of an Nginx configuration here. Let's just comment that out for now. And certbot will comment that out as well. And everything else seems okay. If you have kids and I say just Yelp for help, I probably triggered memories. What is this Golang thing it's downloading? Did I do something wrong? Oh, something is attached to the Git packages, it seems. Okay, let me check the chat while this is going on, because I don't know why it's doing all this extra. Couldn't be built, so I probably did something dumb somewhere. No such file directory zone info. Where did that show up? Why? Oh, you know what? I really screwed up this file at some point. I must have hit like U or something in a wrong place, because I lowercased everything. Is this supposed to be capital UTC? Ah. Whoops. Yeah, okay, let's go with that. Eastern time coordinated? No. Etc. The miscellaneous set of time zones that are imaginary. Okay, it's building a few things. I must have made a mistake though. Yet another. Oh, a locale problem. Same thing. It must be wrong. God, come on, dude. Let's see. Let's just take a little look here, huh? What am I missing? No. Is it trying to build a locale? Okay, let's go into Guix manual. System configuration. Locale. Aha, I think it's EN capital US UTF and it's lowercase UTF. Yeah, I really screwed up the casing in this file. Ashra says EN US UTF-8, probably yes. That is right after all. Cool. Now password. Does it echo my password? Uh-huh. It does echo my password. Fantastic. So let's turn off keycast. My password does not start with F, by the way. All right. So now my container seems to be running. And I should be able to go to localhost 3000. But it's possible that it tried to bind to something else. Can I get to 127.0.0.1 3000? No. I don't see any complaints. Let's see. Let's go into the container. This is a nice thing you can do. You can enter the container and check it out. SSTNLP, what's that? So if I were to go back into, well, let's use Control Z to hop out of this for a second. What? Okay, so Forgejo. ls GNU store. Oh boy. Is it going to do my entire store? Yeah, let's not do that. Herd status. Nothing? What's happening? All right, let me check the config that we generated. Honestly, some of that is probably wrong. So root URL, well, root URL I think is right. But domain, I think needs to be localhost because we're gonna do a reverse proxy. We're not gonna expose Forgejo directly to the web. Foreground. Bye. Can we kill you, please? Control C. All right, so maybe I need to use proced and nuke the poor little thing. What was the? Oh, geez, I can't even get into it, can I? What command did I use? 5736. 5736. It's not in here? 5736. Usually that's the PID. Password. Aren't you still within that container on the other terminal? No, I don't think I am. This is the terminal. I kind of backgrounded the process for a second. All right. Weird. Guile. Let's see. Where is it? Shepherd. That could be it. Interesting that it's totally dead. Container. Why is it doing this? You know what? How about I do this? I'm just going to kill the vterm. Hopefully it will kill the other process that's associated. All right, and let's try again. This prompt is totally jacked. So, oh, yes, I changed the domain here, so I'm hoping that will actually make the port binding work so we can get to the service. Fade says, since I've been playing around with Guix, I felt the need for my shell prompt to tell me if I'm in a Guix shell. There is a way to do that. I just don't have it set up for myself. Okay, so localhost 3000. Ah, I just hit the shift enter. Interesting that it doesn't work still. I must be doing something wrong, and it's difficult to see. Did I miss something? All right, so Forgejo can service type Forgejo configuration, and inside the config, I have everything here. I don't see any complaints in the output. That's kind of corrupted looking. I think what I did last time that caused a problem is I told it to ls the store folder, and it didn't like that at all. Interesting that herd state is not working though. That's a good point though. ls-serve Forgejo doesn't have any files in it, so something is wrong. ps aux. PS is not found. What package is PS in? Well, let's find out. Which PS? Also, read link. It is in proc PS. Let's put good old proc PS. Fade says SSTNLP will tell you which ports are bound to which processes. Ashraz, you might have a good point. So I might need a third V term, unfortunately. No such oh, okay, it's a different one now. What was it? $60.76. Okay. Yeah, still the same thing. Okay. Same thing. We're going to do a little read link on that. Which SS? So IP route 2. Let's go to the packages list here. We're going to say IP route 2 and proc PS. What's that in? That's in GNU packages Linux. What about IP route 2? That's also in GNU packages Linux. Package modules Linux. So now we can go back and regen. Well, if it lets me, which it doesn't want to. So we're going to kill vterm again. Yes, bye. All right. And we'll run the container one more time. Oh, what's the problem? GNU packages Linux. Maybe, wait, whoa. Let's look at the actual file because maybe it's got some other name. IP route, okay, that explains it. I don't like that about Guix sometimes. Maybe you missed that. This package is called IP route 2. That's the name of the package. However, the actual symbol in the scheme code is IP route without the 2 at the end. So if I want to refer to that, I need to make sure to use the right symbol name, not the name of the package. Rebuilding the profile, and then we'll run a container. Okay. All right. So now if I go over to vterm, 6642 is the PID. Syncracty says, have you heard of the Guix Forge service? It's built on cgit or cloud. Seems interesting. I have heard there's some effort going on there, which sounds pretty cool. E. Thompson says, when I'm feeling less precise, I use specification to package. Yeah, that is useful sometimes. All right, so what was it? SSTNLP? Nope. And also PS aux. I don't see any Forgejo running. So something must be wrong. I need to see what's going on with the configuration file that's supposed to be getting generated. Probably died during its start. It's likely, yeah. And I wonder if it's because we didn't actually do its own setup. Try to start it manually. Good. Well, okay, let's put it in the packages list so that we actually have it on the path, and then we should be able to do that. I don't know why I have to keep killing it, though. Why can't I just control C in here? Something's wrong with that. vterm, sin, control C. Can't do that? vterm send interrupt, send signal? No. Okay. I mean, I could probably do that. The PID was 6642, right? So kill 96642. That only kills Shepherd. I gotta sudo it. Fun stuff. Okay, at least that worked. All right, so Forgejo, we're gonna run it in the container. Yeah, Control C is not working for me right now. Usually it does work, but right now it did not work. I'm seeing a lot of things being added to the profile that weren't being added before. 7479. I can't type. 7479. All right, Forgejo. Oh, okay. Well, how do I do that with the SH? There's a way to set what user you run it as, right? Login. No. It's -u. How about man sh? Man's not in here. Sue, yeah, Sue, was it Sue C? No. What happened? Sue C? Git? No. L. No. Username args. Options dash username. Right. Sue dash git. Not available. Run a command -c. Okay. Okay, we got the Git user here. NSEnter will let you into the namespace. Cool. Su s bin bash git. Yeah, I need the full path to, was it run current profile, current system, profile bin bash? Yes. Aha, cool, that works. All right, so that worked. And it put it into run current system profile, which is not what we want. But that's good. That's good. At least we can see that that works. So running it in the container does work. So let's use the configuration file if we can find it. How about this? I'll go in my own system and say GNU store. What did I call it? Did I put, okay, so someone said before that I had the wrong file name, which is very right. And what do they call it? Is it config.ini? app.ini. Okay. How about forgejo.ini? Now that will be easier to find. Now let's do that all over again. vterm2, okay. Yeah, Control C is not working today. 7479, let's do a kill 97479 again. Okay, so back here, we're gonna run this again. This should create a forgejo.ini file. Now we should have it. Do I have the store path here? Yes, sort of. So if I take a look at that, can I find it? Oh, it did actually pick up the right thing. Here. Can I just click it? Click it. Okay, so app name, crafter tools, run user git. Is the work path? Yeah, it's created. We saw that. Oh, this, that's probably fine. Localhost 3000. So we did generate the config more or less correctly, but I wonder if something else is causing it to have a problem. So since we do have the path now, if I copy this path, I should be able to run Forgejo in the shell with the config path and see what kind of error it gives me. So let's jump back over 7772. 7772. Okay, so now we said it was su-s run current system profile bin bash git. All right, so Forgejo config. So it runs and it's fine. You can probably register. Okay, so why then did it not execute to start with? I wonder if the shepherd service configuration is busted. So if I go back to the other shell, okay, so the shepherd Forgejo SCM, I think is the file used to launch the program. Let me see if that's not generated correctly. So the SCM file, blah, 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 blah. List Forgejo config, and then the config path. So, command a list of strings. List of strings like path bin. Okay, so maybe that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, we're in the shepherd service configuration. Is that file actually written? Yeah. It is. Yeah, shepherd service. We're returning the service, but because we are referring to the configuration file in this G expression for make fork exec constructor, it causes the store item for Forgejo config to be generated. I don't know if Guix container has something like Docker logs. All right, so we see that it does launch correctly. And if I were to actually go and take this whole path, let's go to Scratch first and turn this into a single string. And make sure that this works as expected. If I go back out into vterm 3, kill this process, run this directly. Yeah, so that runs. And I believe it's still up. Interesting. I don't actually see the service get started though, to be honest, in the output here. I think before I've seen output. Making something to circuit the current system, populating, etc. So let's see, what else could it be? Is it because we're trying to run it under a different user, perhaps? Also, why don't I try to run this file? Eval when. I should be able to execute this, shouldn't I? Use modules shepherd service. The last four of your social, 7772. Oh, wait a second. That's not right. I think that's the problem. Man, gotta be careful. So is it... I think I got to do that. I hope that's right. And we got to kill it again. 7772. This should do it. All right. Back to ungxbit. What's the syntax for that? I've forgotten. vterm 3. I need to... Oh, that's it? Okay. What are those sigils for? So with Guix, there is this concept of a G expression, which is like a way to encode build instructions as S expressions. So it's almost like you're quoting an S expression, but you're quoting it in a different way. This is like a reader macro, I think, that says like, turn this into what's called a G expression, which gets sent across to the Guix build daemon. But if you have information that's only known inside of the source that's running the configuration to generate the G expression, then like this Forgejo configuration user is not known by the build server because it's isolated in a sandbox. So you need to un-G expression certain things like unquoting things in a back quote expression to get the actual value out before that G expression gets made and sent to the build daemon. So I made a mistake here. These forms were getting sent directly over and they can't be evaluated. Dave says, G expressions are for code staging, building code in one environment and sending it to another. Yep. Okay, so I need to kill that, what is it, 7774? What was it that we saw? Why can't I go up further? Oh, because I'm inside of Get Phantom. 7772. Kill 97772. Again. All right. Thank you very much. This time, I'm hoping it works because we're almost out of time. Okay. Still no. We can look at the shepherd config again, and I highly recommend you do this if you are trying to do anything with Guix. You kind of have to start digging into the store files sometimes to figure out what's happening. What other mistake did I make? Git and Git is fine. I don't know if that needs to be something else. So the info file, user. What is user supposed to be? Strings? Maybe a string indicating a username or a number indicating a user ID. Okay. User exists within the container. It's supposed to because oh, yes. Good question. 8106. Let's go check it real quick. See you, Fade. Cat, etc. password. Git is right there. Yeah, we had to sue into it. Yeah, that's right. Let's see. With G expressions, you can split in a package object. Interesting. Can I run that script directly? I wonder if I can run that in Shepherd. Is it this one? I've got too many open now. Yeah. Make service. Begin use modules. Shepherd service. Oop goops. Oh, yeah, I'm going back to the whole store again. Can I run that? That's not gonna work, is it? Nope, nope, nope. Fantastic. So let's simplify it. How about we do this? This is probably gonna crash and burn, but you know, we're already crashing and burning, so might as well mess around a little bit. This command line invocation works. We know that for sure. And how badly have I screwed up everything now? Let me drop that over and comment that out. Let's just take the user and group stuff out and see if that helps somehow. Because everything else should be working. And what was that? That was 8106. Someday I'll learn. All right. Still no. And I went to all the trouble to have a cloud VM set up and everything, and we didn't even get to it. Let's check out the SCM file again. Okay, so it is without the user options this time. Something else wrong. Command is a list. Yep. Well, if you start it correctly with the shepherd daemon, then it should work. I wonder if either of these are the problem. Like, it doesn't start it because these things aren't started yet. Could it be? Can I start the service? Is there even a definition for it? I can't look at a herd status. Okay. Just out of my own curiosity, let's try taking the requirement out. Oh, Control-C worked this time. Incredible. I don't see anything different in the output. Nope. Frustrating. And the user thing did not seem to make a difference either. Are we back to where we were? Yep. I'm starting to think I made a really dumb mistake somewhere. Definitely isn't this, but I'm gonna fix it anyway. Make sure this is in the right place. Nice. I didn't know what the syntax was in Guile for that. The activation stuff here. It seems to have worked. Let's go into the container that is PIDs 8732. And what was it I was going to look at? LSAL serve Forgejo. Okay, it actually is Git. So that activation worked. So activation worked. The user account got created as expected. And the shepherd service, we haven't seen whether it's being run yet or not. Oh, stopped. Forgejo. Why? And why now am I able to see it? Forgejo. Okay. Is there logs? Yeah, it never tells you what the actions are. Yeah, we need logs for certain. ls serve Forgejo. There's nothing in there, so that doesn't help. It seems that Shepherd is failing to launch it for some reason. Magic Forgejo. Okay. Herd and Shepherd. It probably won't be in var. Herd status. Yeah, got that. Start stop status enable. Okay, so herd. What? Why was it not started? Okay, it failed somehow, but it's giving me no output. Is there like a verbose option? Yeah, the symbol that we gave, it should just be Forgejo. Forgejo. Start, stop, restart, start, enable, disable, and dock. What about dock? Herd dock. Forgejo. Run the Forgejo, get forged. Great. Fantastic documentation that I added. No verbose option. Let's see. GM. GG. What is the key I'm looking for here? Yeah, 1 second. Pick menu item specified by name. No menu in this node. Thanks. Concept index, log file, logging. Where is this coming from? Invoking Shepherd. Okay, so maybe I need to look at Shepherd logs. Where are the Shepherd logs being stored? Probably in var. ls var log. No. Run. Shepherd. Socket. No. We don't want the socket. ls var. Lib. Nothing in there. Okay. Okay, log file location. When running as root, default behavior is to connect to dev log. Oh, syslog. How do you... Syslog, okay. Maybe I need to start the syslogd service. Evil should be in motion mode, not normal mode within info. I do okay with normal. I gotta bail out of here in a minute. Okay, so I need syslogd in the configuration. Let's just try real quick to add that. Service, syslog service type, syslog. I don't even know if I need that. Syslog configuration, is that right? Let's check it out. Base services, syslog. Syslog service type, okay. Configuration, syslogd, config file. All right. Let's bail out of there. I'm guessing it will complain at me when I try to build this configuration again. No, that's not an issue. Are you talking about in the shepherd config, right? Right here in the service type, the name, that's supposed to be a symbol. No, sorry. Forgejo shepherd. Right here, the provision, that's just a symbol. And now that I have syslog, how do I look at syslog? Linux, how to look at syslog. Journal control, T, okay. Do I have that program? var log syslog, okay, that works too. Line 140. Forgejo is the package name. So that's actually the symbol of the package definition in this file. So that does work. That actually causes it to expand out to the full built package path in the GNU store. All right, so, and we see that it works right because in the shepherd Forgejo SCM file that gets generated, it does have the right paths to everything. So I am trying to get back into the container 9363. 9363. 9363. So ls var log. Messages, eh? Maybe. Failed to get home directory. Boom. Well, there it is. That's the error. And that's the reason why Shepherd decided to shut it down, because it happened multiple times in a row. All right, so what did I do wrong? See you again. User. There's something in that file, I think. Maybe not. Why do we need the home directory? Let's look for this error online. The right place? Gitty. Good enough. For the SSH configuration, ooh, yeah, that actually makes sense. That makes sense, because we need a place to put all the SSH pub keys. All right, well, that's not too bad then. We can just make it not a system user. That's a good point. Config SCM, system. Home directory, I think we can leave that out. Whoa, no, I don't want to kill Emacs. All right, well, if we get this loading at least, that will be enough of a win, I think. Still not loading, but at least we know how to diagnose now. You can make it a system user, but it needs a home directory. Maybe I need to do that, actually. Let's just be very, very clear. I don't know if that's supposed to be the way it is. See you, Dave. Thanks for the help. Appreciate it. I gotta leave soon too. I want to see this work before I end the stream, because it's kind of driving me nuts. 10.196. Log messages. Still can't get the home directory. Cat, etc. password. There's home git, but it says sbin no login. Probably because it's a system user, I would guess. All right, well. All right. Oh, well, that's probably because I did this. That probably doesn't matter though. But who knows? It could matter. I don't know how it's trying to actually get the home directory. Failure from SSH related library when no home directory is found. Okay. Huh. Oh, do I just need to set a home environment variable? Uh-huh. Okay, so it asked me to set the shell to bin bash. It probably is calling out to bash to check the invars. Well, this is how it goes, folks. I mean, sometimes it's not so easy to package something because if you're running it in a container, you have to set everything up such that it can do things correctly. Still not working. I imagine it's still the same problem. Let's go and... I don't know if this is going to help. In fact, let's double check quickly. What was the PID? 10663. Same thing. So, Forgejo installation guide from binary, git user, admin guide, installation, binary, create git user. I guess I should have followed the installation guide, right? Shell bin bash, group disabled password home git. Okay. We're adding the git group. All right, so I should have been doing all that to begin with. And disabled password, it's a system user, okay. Git system, home directory. I don't need to tell it bash because I think it's by default. Okay, for whatever reason it's not working and I'm out of time. I will throw this configuration into the show notes so people can check it out if they want to kind of continue hacking on it. It would be nice to finish this. I don't know if we want to do a follow-up stream on this next week or something, but it would be nice to finish it ultimately because I think it's useful to see the process of doing this. So maybe we'll go back to it. Let me know in the comments or in the chat or in the IRC later if you're interested in seeing more on this. But like I said, I'm out of time. That's it for this week. Like I said, the Matrix IRC bridge thing is still in the air. Let me know what you think about possibly just going straight to IRC, no Matrix. And we'll talk about that again too. And as always, thank you all for being here. Really appreciate the interaction and your attention. And until next time, happy hacking. We'll see you.